Well, good evening and welcome to this special Honest That Sports Talk. We're here to talk cricket. We did invite some other persons to join us. On with us right now is Stephen Douglas, and I want to get the correct title. Are you the second vice president of the... What's your title at the cricket board?
They got assistant secretary treasurer.
Right, assistant secretary, because I'm getting your other all your other hats mixed up. But
one more hat. Decent county president. That's all.
Yes. Stephen, last week an article was printed regarding USA Cricket and them kind of putting themselves out there for other cricketers from around the world to join their ranks at the national level. This is something that I have been talking about for some time. A bit unfair. They're actually throwing money at things that would allow them to even take current players from other countries. When you saw a bit of the article, what was your immediate thought?
Sorry about that. Can you repeat that question again? My son was.
Yeah. When you first saw the article with the USA. Kind of inviting other players from other test playing countries to join their ranks and offer them citizenship. What were your first thoughts?
Well, it's not nothing new because we've seen it in the past. Way back in the days of Leonard Kush when he was playing for Guyana, and also he would play for USA one week and Ghana the next week. So, but I realize what they're trying to do as far as advancing themselves in the ICC. It just happens that their rules and their laws in their country are a little more flexible. Just realize how hard it is for our country to get, somewhat similar. That's all.
Yeah, the problem is, I mean, around the world, you see the IPL, you see even the CPL, you see all these other countries. They're doing it at the regional level. So they're bringing in outside players to help improve the game in their country. They're doing it at the national, and they're not the only one in our region that does it, but I mean, to be open before, like you said, they used to do it before, but it wasn't as open as it was last week. They're literally telling players what they're they're telling the world what they're gonna give up.
Yeah, I mean that's if you have followed it since the whole change when I think what was his name, Martin Webb was over ICC America. So a big change after that. And I think there's still a legal case going on somewhat now by the former USACA president, what's his name, Mr. Dainty,
yes,
against the current group because he feels that he was, unceremonially, kicked out of USACA. So, and this group has come in. I think we all know that ICC to a certain degree is spearheading a lot of this here, because a lot of the people that were associated with Australia is involved with. This is American setup, Yeah.
As we know, I mean, there's no secret. They want to get into the USA's market of money.
And China.
What's that?
And China.
And China. But for our sake, it's USA because we're in that region.
Yeah.
But I when even talking with some of the people within USA Cricket, they understand. Like my argument is, you're trying to do something, but you haven't included Americans in your thought process. You're trying to buy people to come to your country to improve your national program. But what about the development? They're talking about, well, the development will come down the road. But here lies the problem. If they're only playing for your national setup program, where's the development?
Well, these guys are playing, I think eventually they will play. I mean, the guys out of South Africa come over to play in their, I think there's a 2020 competition. And they're inviting Corey Anderson out of New Zealand. They're inviting the guy Plunkett out of England. But if you go back, I don't know how many years you want to go back, remember the New York Cosmos, when they had Pele, they had Randy Horton, and they had Newsom, all those guys. This is similar. This is how they got the
But that weren't national level. See, it's similar, but not the same. That's not national level. This is what I'm talking about. At the national level, like, okay, would USA football go and get a bunch of Germans to come and play for the national team?
They got some, but you know,
Well, they do.
but the cricket is allowed that way. I mean, right now they're just playing within the laws of their country and in the laws of ICC, within the rules, which it doesn't always seem fair because when people come here, like it's always a little harder when people get hurt. You know what I mean? To play cricket. But I read an article I think it was a guy Rusty Thorne out of South Africa last year when he moved his family over there, and he took his daughter shopping, and the daughter was dragging him by his pants. He said, "Daddy, we need candles," because down there the power goes out. So he's used to his mom and daddy buying candles. Then when it got close to dark, Daddy, it's time to go home. You know what I mean? So in some cases, these players are going for a better life. But as far as you and I is concerned, looking at it, it seems like the small Bermuda is getting smaller and smaller. That's all.
And I'm also speaking up for the other countries in our region, such as the Cayman, such as the Argentina. Well, not so much Argentina because they're getting help as well. But you know, I just want to make sure that it's a level playing field. We tend to get down on our players when they don't compete well. But a lot of people don't understand what the players are up against on a regular basis. Now, just saying, you talked about Lennox Kush. Remember, the last time the USA team was here prior to the 2019 tournament, they had more players from the West Indies than they had players from United States in their team.
But that's nothing new, or that's ever since.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I umpired, and you want to go back, man. Canada had the guy Davison was the captain.
Yes.
You had Bill Cliff out of New Zealand.
Yes.
And a lot of those guys were the backbone. I mean, I remember when David Hemp came here, and a lot of people frowned upon it, right? But where I said, I understood it, because in order for us to compete, we need the similar to compete. We're not going to compete with just the local talent. There's no way we can manage that way, you know? So we have Dalray now and Kamal, you know, and we need about 3 or 4 more in order to get close to what the rest of the countries in the region are getting.
But do we openly ask that question? Come down here and we give you residency and citizenship and all of that? Because I mean, well, we're a lot different with that country-wise. We're not going to just give a passport away for the sake of giving a passport away for sport. You know, there are people in this that have been in this country for a long time and haven't had the privilege of getting a passport. But I just think how when you're at the table at these conferences for cricket, how does it become a level playing field?
It's not a level playing field. I mean, if you look around at the associate level, there's an abundance of Asians that are traveling around in like teams like Hong Kong, UAE, Oman, and all those teams. There's an abundance of players that go and put themselves available. I remember it was this working at Digicel about 5-6 years ago, and this Italian guy would play cricket, evening day cricket, and he went back home and tried to get into the Italian side. And the Pakistanis tell him, "Hey, no, mate, this is for us." You know what I mean? So it's nothing new, you know. So they're not as open, but when you go to those tournaments, you will see an abundance of those players playing for them. You know, in my experience of umpiring, there's guys really ones who got the runs for them and the ones who got the wickets for them, and they carried the team. You know, I think there's this guy out in Australia now is going to live in Vanuatu who carried Vanuatu. You know what I mean? But your point is that they didn't go as open as USA.
Right.
Come here and you come up here and I'll put you in my team after you qualify, you know, via citizenship and the ICC regulations.
Yeah. What I mean, but I mean, for us, it's got to be some repercussions for that, because they openly I mean, okay, so it's been going on behind closed doors for a long time. Word of mouth. I got this guy. Can you go get him? Can you go get him? But to do it so blatant.
But England did it too, Just
Well,
for the Cricket World Cup, they made sure went from 7 years to 3 years that Archer can play.
Right. Well, remember they done the same thing. They done the same thing for Eoin Morgan.
But the challenge that's happened over there now. Once Ireland has become a test nation, those players out of Ireland have got to decide whether they're going to play cricket for the English county or Ireland. If they can play for the English county, then they can play for Ireland. If they play for Ireland, you know what I mean? Vice versa. So
right.
England has cut their wings. I think it started last year, or would have been this year, whatever. But England has cut them. So no longer is England going to be a developing ground for the Irish team.
Right. Well, they cut the West Indies off, and now they're on the neighbors.
But even like I said to people, right? If you look at New Zealand's team, take a quick look at it. A lot of, again, it's not as open as what USA is doing.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the South Africans and the Zimbabweans and those guys that are in the New Zealand test team, this guy Conway, this new guy they're looking to bring in, he's out of South Africa. I think BJ Watlington and all those guys, they will come out of South Africa. So, hey, it's us and probably West Indies are the only two probably that doesn't really do that,
Mm.
So
when you look at in your experiences as an ICC umpire, you've traveled around and you've seen some of the developing countries over the other side doing the same thing. They're picking up players from test nations. A guy will play the under-17 World Cup, and then you'll see him in a team for an associate at the national level, and that has been a concern for a number of years for me, because when you start being able to shop around, it kind of diminishes the level, the playing field of sorts.
Well, the difference is some of those guys' parents move, and their parents literally move for the opportunity for their children to get opportunity to develop. I honestly thought that when Bermuda played in the 2007 World Cup, 5 World Cup? 7. I thought we were going to get some people come up here. I honestly thought so, right? But it did not materialize. I was talking to a young man today about football and cricket, and I said to him that, we probably can make it a lot easier to a World Cup in cricket than we can in football, because it's going to be one tournament, under 19 and into the World Cup. Whereas football with CONCACAF, probably got better. I'm not sure how it goes, but I'm pretty sure it's more than one, and it's more than 4 tournaments that we got to play in.
Oh yeah.
Qualify. But from a regional point of view, we always had that uphill battle in this region. A lot of the workers over in Cayman, the Bajan policemen and various guys, Jamaicans come over there. They're the ones who basically carry the Cayman team. Even the umpires, like my colleagues from Cayman, were out of Jamaica. When you looked at the Canadian team back then, I remember my first trip to Argentina, 2002, as a senior umpire. Canadian had Nicholas de Groot out of West Indies who played for them, and USA had Ford Bacchus who kept them down. For USA. So, and the Cayman guys were all, out of, like I said, the islands. Argentina, they had nobody there, but all the players were of English parents. And then they got the New Zealand guy a couple of years back, and he scored a tons of runs for me, and he literally single-handedly carried them, to where they were. But now they're starting all over again.
Right. I got a message asking me about the level of play of Bermuda when we need to improve the level of play. I understand that, but we can improve our level of play, but the major problem is the level of playing field. When you got a country like USA who has tons of money behind them and all that, and they're getting guys on the verge of playing Test cricket for New Zealand, Test cricket for Australia, Test cricket for even, well, the Canadians go on the Sri Lankan Pakistan side. They are inundated with those type of players. But when they have that, where's the level playing field? I understand, yeah, we need to improve our cricket in Bermuda, but how are we going to compete with that?
Excuse me. But that's how they do improve. Those countries improve because they're able to bring in the sort of a pros, you know what I mean, more or less. Let's look at India for sake, right? India's junior players, I think it was about 3 under-19 World Cups ago, and Ian Chappell said, I think it was in Australia then. And Ian Chappell said, yeah, there's been Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa when it was in Australia. The only players he saw ready to go into a senior team were the Indians. And as it is now, the IPL started right after Bermuda's under-19 team, 2008, went to Malaysia.
Mm-hmm.
So the Curtis and all those guys got a stint in the IPL with those world-class players from West Indies, Australia, everywhere else, Sri Lanka, to develop. And that's where they are today. You know, and they get the best coaches. They get the Stephen Flemings. They get this guy just finished coaching England to the World Cup. All those guys over there coaching. So that's how they develop. And also, those who may not know that their children may be residing in Canada and the USA, but the Indians send their children back to school to India, to Pakistan, and Sri Lanka, where they're still doing cricket. They just reside there, you know?
Mm-hmm. I remember in 2000 and when did the under-19s qualify in Canada? 2006, 2007.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember there was some talk that all the countries stayed in the hotel that was for the teams, with the exception of Canada. And some of those guys had just met each other on day one of the tournament. And that's something that we've been talking about for quite some time. That, you know, some of these countries do that. They bring you in because and I'll even say, I mean, you've been an umpire and you've had to check passports. Am I right?
Yeah. Yes.
But you're not an immigration officer to determine whether or not a passport is
that was for ICC and MAC associate level. I said check the passport.
Right.
When it came to, and you're right about that, because I said ask the guy at Square Leg, you know, who's that bowler, and he had to ask someone else who he was. He didn't know who he was. You know, so you're correct. That was normal back there, quite normal.
Right. Yeah. Right. But I mean, we're looking at doing a similar thing at the senior level, although the guy would know who he is.
Oh, we would know now.
I just think that it's something that obviously if countries feel it's being done to their disadvantage, when you're around the table, it has to be discussed, because if not, you leave that and it would only get worse.
Well, if you look at ICC very closely, right, there's 12 test playing teams, right,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe there's 92 associate teams, and the voting system in there isn't fair.
Mm.
Yeah, test playing, not like football where FIFA, every country has a fair vote when they go in FIFA. Right? Every full member, excuse me, of FIFA has a vote. Whereas with cricket, that vote isn't theirs. And 12 people got a vote, and the destiny is up to them. They tell you how much money they're going to get. India says, of course, we have the most sponsorship. Well, I can get almost 4 times as much as or twice as much as the next test playing team to them. You know, so it's the way they function is just not fair.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. So how could one address that? A country like Bermuda, a country like Cayman, how do we around the table, especially in the associates, in the Americas?
Right, we just got to, I mean, when they do have their meetings, you know, we can put proposals forward. I believe when you had Dave Cameron on talking about when he was looking to run for the ICC chairmanship with the New Zealand just got the other day, he realized the importance of balancing everything within ICC. I can even say while I remember while he was what's the president or chairman, whatever his title is in West Indies.
Mhm.
He was asking, they made a proposal where an associate can host a World Cup because they saw the value of bringing everybody along, you know.
Mhm.
But when you got the big three, they can just build a big stick. You know, the India, the Australians, and the English. You know, they just want to run it how they want to run cricket within the world. Even to you look at every tournament is in the three country. You know, they don't want to get no one else a tournament. Also, you know, and I believe they're talking about that similar in Olympics also, where
Mhm.
certain countries want to run it. I think uh, the FIFA was, you know, they open it up and you see the value for it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, I did invite some others to come on and discuss this openly. Um, I'm pretty sure that my friends in the U.S. will have a conversation and then come back to me about, you know, some of the comments that's been made by me tonight. But they know how I feel about it because I'm open with them about it. And if you're going to be as open as they were last week, it's concerning.
Well, I think Peter wrote it. You know, Peter said there's only one real American, and that's Taylor,
Hmm.
Stephen Taylor, any person that's been through that program. And that's something that, you know, I think about in Bermuda all the time. But I look at Bermuda's current team right now. There's only Stephen Taylor that's come through the under 15s, under 19s, into the national team.
Hmm.
If you look at our players, almost every player has come through our whole system,
Right.
right? And sometimes I think, you know, we just don't have that higher quality of player that there's other countries are able to bring in to boost the game. But if they had to do the same, if we go back when Rodney Truck took his team to what's it, USA, I believe, and whoever took the team to Cayman, you know, if you look back at those teams and you look at the American team, look at the Canadian team and whatever, the Caymans team has probably got players from out of there. The Ebank brothers.
Hmm.
I got a good friend of mine from Bahamas. Always to tell me he's 100% Bahamian. He just tell all the players, you know. Then Suriname is here. They get people out of Guyana when they go away. They bring them in from Holland. So
Hmm.
you know, so it's been there, but like you said, it's never been this open where they really put the auctions out there to show out they got the best bait that they got, you know. And plus, you got to understand a lot of those people that help to run the cricket in USA are some really well-off Indians out there,
Hmm.
you know, that do a lot. And
Yeah.
and right now they're getting fields everywhere. So is there
Right.
any matter of time they will be hosting the World Cup over there in USA. As it is right now, they are great. Their percentage when it comes to TV views is very high for ICC.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, I'm intending to do another one of these, and hopefully someone like Dave Cameron can join because I think he has a lot of insight as to some of the talk around the table
Mm-hmm.
uh, that can actually enlighten more people on a situation such as this one, and give us some ideas of how those things could be addressed at this level. You know, to ensure that there are opportunities out there for the Bermudas, for the Caymans, for the lesser countries that utilize their homegrown players and not try to influence other countries. Well, mind you, I mean, I understand it to a bit because if you look at New Zealand, only what 13 players get picked.
Correct.
So, and if you have three formats of the game, only 36 players because some only play one format.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at a pool of 50 where you got probably 3,000, 4,000 cricket players playing.
Mm-hmm.
Where in Bermuda we're what we got 200.
200.
Yeah.
Right.
So I
Yeah. I
understand
mean,
it a bit, but
it's look, it's hard. We don't always like it, But that's the hand we are dealt with right now. Now, is it fair to some of us? No, it's not fair.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, I mean, even when it comes sometimes to officiating, because a guy came out of India, he gets to zoom straight across.
Right.
He gets on the panel. You know what I mean? So, so it's a lot to look at. It's been disappointing in some areas to us in this country, but we just got to work hard at our game. I think the greatest advantage we have now is that we got a lot of youngsters have been overseas to play. We now need to get our coaches to match them. One thing my brother Troy, told me, he said, you can't let the players go away and get too far ahead of the coaches. So the coaches are got to go away and catch up to be able to match the players. So we have to go and let our coaches go away and get some exposure. Probably they can go somewhere and coach for a period of time to get that exposure to be able to bring back to Bermuda to help with the players who are away. I mean, I'm not saying that the coaches here can't coach Del Rey or can't coach Kamal, but if they've been exposed to much more than the coaches, then the coaches will lean on them for various ways. And everything now is, if you look at just the last week, England was playing South Africa, where they had the analysis guy was putting up sheets of paper with a letter or a number, and that was to tell the captain what to do next.
Right.
So the outside of people getting the players, but there's a lot of other things in the game that we have talked about, but we're going to have to execute in Little Bermuda wherever we can. We did some streaming this summer. So how do we take that stream and break it down to get us to get better? But your point is the frustration of every time we think we're getting close. Oh, go get that player that qualified, and boom, we beat USA. You did look at the next time? We beat them twice, right?
Yeah.
The whole coaching staff got fired and everything, right? So the new coaching staff coming in, looking at new players, and listen, Little Bermuda will not beat us again. That's what they're saying, mate. And if I got okay, Corey Anderson, don't worry, you may be a little chubby, but you can handle this associate cricket. But also you got to understand the period to come from test down to associate is a lot longer than from an associate up to test.
Right.
So these guys probably got to wait 3 years now, whereas you can go straight from an associate into a test. You remember the guy from Hong Kong who had New Zealand heritage, who went straight into New Zealand one-day team.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. Is
that'll be changed. That'll be changed at the next meeting.
But the meeting, the AGM they having pretty soon.
Well, listen. If they want the USA money, that will be changed at the next meeting. They have a meeting in January, guaranteed. Watch.
Well, that's
3 years, might be 3 months.
But that's what it is right now. Is like to come back down is harder, but to go up, because I think it was those guys. It was in Marshall Twins out of New Zealand. They can play for Holland, I believe.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, it's always for us, it's always can be hard. And I believe the challenge that we have is that we punch very, very, very high above our weight, right? And a lot of people don't look at it this way. And this is how I view it. 1966, England won the World Cup in football. It's 2022, the next World Cup. The closest they came to winning again was 2018, was it? When was in Paris? When France won it last.
Yeah,
2018.
Yeah.
That was the closest they came since 1966 to winning the World Cup, right? 1975 was the first Cricket World Cup.
Right.
2019 was the first time England's team has won the Cricket World Cup. right? So sometimes when you break it down and look at it like that, the time frame it takes for these so-called high countries to get back into a tournament. I think the Dutch has been to 2 finals.
Mm-hmm.
I think they can't even qualify for the European sometimes. So now
Right.
I believe it was. I remember when Chris first went to school over in Wales. It was the first time Wales had qualified for the European Championship in 30-something years.
Right.
The same thing that Cleveland that first time beat St. Davis in 33 years. Like, I said, man, so when I understand, look at it there and I break it down and analyze it myself, I say we don't do that there. A lot of times I think we just beat up on ourselves. I mean, when you break it down into dynamics, like, you understand from our side. But to your point, USA is not going to wait as long as England to get some. They're not going to wait as long as us to get back to the next World Cup. And the qualifications for another World Cup isn't that easy with ICC right now. So that's the difference right there. But like I said, I break that down. I look at it. I said, Chuck, we're here crying, man. But these teams. I mean, look how big England is.
Mm-hmm.
Look how much players they have.
Right.
And even in cricket, the minute a guy comes out of South Africa, he walks right into an English team.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Even at cricket level. And it's the black players now that is helping to carry England into the World Cup in football. You know what I mean? But look at many football teams. They got the top league, and our players are playing him in league below that league.
Right.
Right? I don't know. I'm not that big of a guru in football, but I know that that keeps me grounded with Bermuda, and I realize that where we can grow to in these competitions is officials.
Right. Yes.
Right? They can't take away our ability to officiate and games and stuff. We get good when we get away there, and our administration skills. We're very good at that. When we had a Bermudian as the the appeals chairman for FIFA.
Uh-huh.
Did we realize what we had there?
I don't think many people did.
Huh?
I don't think many people did.
So and I know Mr. Sabera's got a lot of heavy pips on his shoulders when he goes to FIFA also. You know what I mean? Yeah. But Mr. Spateman, he was up there doing good things. He was big in there with ICC. I don't think we understand what we get to. Our BNA president was in a big forum the other day making presentations.
Yes. Yes.
The BOA president, Ms. Simon, she does different things. So we punch above our weight where we can to, but we put a lot of pressure on our athletes who just don't have the support that other athletes get.
True. True.
And my family is heavy involved. My youngest brother, exposed me to a lot of that. He ended up running for Holland. You know what I mean? And if you go over there and you're with Troy, man, you're like Sadorf and those guys. That's what it's like over there.
Right. Well, Stephen, I want to thank you for your time and this chat. And again, like I said, we will have another one, and I would encourage others to come on board to have an open discussion, and not just about the USA issue, but about cricket in our region in general, and how it could be improved, how each country could help each other, and what we can do to make this region kind of back strong how it used to be. We always had like 3 teams in the World Cup.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's something that they're trying now. I believe under the new leadership of Ms. Farah Gussie, she's doing what she can to try to promote us, help Bermuda. We're looking at some things under her leadership to help guide us, with our new implementations for better cricket. And they were very impressed with us, this summer to be able to host cricket. And to that part, I'd like to say thank you to the government for us, because we work very closely with the health department and putting it on, and following their rules. From a country's perspective right now, we have lost track of those rules. because the numbers are keep increasing. Also, like, I think the clubs that also assisted, in hosting the games, and the year-round, and we did what we had to do based upon the rules that we were given and the guidelines, by the health department. So I'd like to thank all of them for making our season what it was. And it was an opportunity to get people to come and see a first division team and a Premier Division team.
Mm-hmm.
And I think from that point of view, it did some good for our cricket, and we're looking to build on that, next year, and even the various Zooms we had prior to the, with Mr. Parford and Delray and people from the West Indies, our old coach, Mark Harper, and different people, that helped to build our cricket up. And we're looking to do something again, early part of January, to do that, to get it going again. So yes, anytime you give me a shout, I'd like to have a word and sit there and talk with Dave and the rest of them, because for me, it's just not about the cricketer, it's about the umpires also, because there's very few umpires. It's just Joe Wilson of the Caribbean that's on the panel right now. And I like, see, like, one like another West Indian get on that panel, to represent the region. We just can't think that the best umpires come out of England and Australia all the time.
Right.
But when you're given a chance, you get good. You got to be given a chance. And I can tell you from my experience, when I was given a chance to umpire, and I had the guidance of the David Jukes, the guy Graham Lebroy out of Sri Lanka as the match referee. When I went down to West Indies with some Donovan Hales and those guys, they help to guide you, because they bring their professionalism, to the game. Like, I think that's some things that they were looking to do in Bermuda next year, is to bring some of that there into our game and help, show people some different light of cricket.
All right. Well, we look forward to that. That's for sure. All right. Enjoy the rest of your night.
You as well. Thank you.
All right.
All right.